On this Wednesday. My name is Tori. Thank you for joining me on the Hometown Morning Show. And I don't want to say special guest, but because he's part of the family here, it's Bob Sharits from Way Out Recovery, has his own show here on your hometown station. What we want to talk about this morning, take a little pause from some of the music and whatnot, and we want to talk about this tragedy that happened Friday night in our community, and so many people have been affected by this, and we're going to take it one step at a time with the help of Bob Sharits from Way Out Recovery. First of all, good morning.
Well, good morning. Thank you for having me here this morning.
Thank you for being here. You're usually, you're you're
I'm
in the
a Monday
afternoon.
guy.
Yeah. So you have the Way Out Recovery, which is located. Let's tell our listeners a little bit about, if this is the first time you're hearing the name Bob Sharits. First of all, that's unfortunate because you are a mainstay in this community. You've done so much good for so many people in the Santa Clarita Valley, but you now have your own place.
Well, yeah, thank you. So for those of you who haven't heard, right, my name's Bob Sharits. I'm the program director and also a co-owner and co-founder of the Way Out Recovery. We are a local intensive outpatient program. We opened about 5 months ago, although we are having a grand opening next Thursday.
The official
Grand opening,
mm-hmm.
but our doors opened about 5 months ago. Drug and alcohol treatment for adolescents, adults, and their families. In a growing community where we are willing to talk about drug and alcohol issues, we need as much help as we possibly can. And there are some wonderful organizations that are in the Santa Clarita Valley, and we thought we would just add, our expertise and our professionalism to that community of already wonderful organizations out here. So the Way Out Recovery has been open about 5 months, and we've been trying as much as we can to help everyone we can.
Bob, let me ask you a question about it continues to be a growing problem. And even with the help of all these amazing organizations and programs and outpatient facilities, it seems to become a growing problem. We can't seem to get a handle on it. Is it because, would you put a finger on it and say, prescription drug use is really not helping the situation? Or is it just how it's always been? Alcohol. What if you had to point in a certain direction? What would you say?
Well, certainly there has always been a problem, but I mean, you can look at the numbers in terms of the way that prescription medications have affected the addiction community. Recently it was announced that accidental overdoses have now taken over as there's more people that die from accidental overdoses than from car crashes themselves, which tells you what a huge number it is. And it has grown tremendously certainly over the last 10 or 20 years. So the problem itself is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I think that the biggest issue that we face in combating the problem is that people are unwilling to really bring it out in the open. There's a big stigma involved with it. There's a lot of denial involved with it. We put on a lot of free events and things in the community, and it's interesting because a lot of people, they go, oh, we don't have any of those problems, so we don't show up for those events, and it's happening right under their nose. And so I think the beginning of really making an impact is allowing people a safe space to say, there is a problem here.
You talked briefly about stigma, and I just want to touch upon that because that's huge. But I think, and I am not a professional at all, but I have many, many friends and family members who have gone through programs. So I'm that person who it's affected through me. So the stigma, you mentioned the stigma. Isn't it lessening, though? I see, because I know friends and family who have on their keychains, 6 months sober or a year or several years, and they are proud of it, and they don't mind sharing that information anymore. Do you think the stigma is getting less and less by chance? Are we,
Yes.
hopeful?
I certainly would like to think so. I mean, it's hard to tell because now that my eyes are open to it, now that I see it, I look for those key tags that say 6 months, or I look for the people that are talking about it. And the way that I do my part is every opportunity that I have, I talk about it openly. You know, it's interesting because I have a 5 and an 8-year-old son, and I talk to them so openly about drug and alcohol issues that sometimes my people around me are a little bit shocked at how open I am with it. But I think that that's necessary. I think that we certainly need to talk about it more. We need to talk about it openly. It is absolutely the biggest killer that there is out there, and people are afraid to approach the subject. So,
I think there's nothing to be ashamed of. I think that if you go to get help, I think that's awesome. If you go to get help, you're doing what you need to do, and I would not be ashamed of that. And I'm proud of when I see those keychains and they are you have no idea how proud they are of those medals that they get for every step along the way. They're so proud. I see some of my friends and family with them, and they just throw them right on the desk. They not only do they not care, they're like, look at this.
Yeah.
So hopefully, fingers crossed. What we're going to do, Bob Sharits, is from Way Out Recovery, we're going to take a quick traffic break and come back, and we're going to talk specifically about some tragic events that happened on Friday where we lost, I'm sure our listeners have heard, the community knows about it, mother of 6, to an alleged drunk driver. So we're going to come back. We're going to talk about what's available to people who are grieving, who are confused, and just need some love and help. We're going to come back and do that. Stick around.
Great.
Okay.
Beep, 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 beep. Go!
All right, let's check traffic quickly. We're wrapping things up. Although we are getting word right now of the southbound side of the 5. I hope this is not true. I hope this is not confirmed. CHP is not there yet, but we're getting word of a possible wrong-way driver on the southbound side of the 5 at Balboa going northbound in southbound lanes. I don't know how this can even happen. This happens way too often. And someone almost hit this person head on. So they are calling this in. CHP is headed out southbound side of Balboa. Please be on the lookout for that if you're on Balboa. No other problems for the freeways. As a matter of fact, things are looking pretty good on the 14 and the 5. However, 405 still nasty as you're trying to make your way through the Sepulveda Pass. That's traffic on your hometown station, KHTS.
Remember Star Trek? Doc Bones would pull out what looked like a TV remote control, scan a body, instantly come up with a medical diagnosis? Well, the future is today. At Beyond Relief Chiropractic, Dr. Thomas Palucki has a high-tech tool that shows you exactly what needs correcting from head to toe. It tracks the problem, allowing you to see what you need to work on. Discover immediate results with no twisting or cracking. Beyond Relief, 753-9340, 753-9340. Start living beyond relief.
Discover Verano at Aliento, a 55-plus community with exclusive resort-style amenities designed just for you. Join us as we celebrate the grand opening of the new club at Verano on Saturday, October 21st from 1 to 5. Come party at the new clubhouse and see our model homes. We'll have music by the pool, refreshments, and more. From the 14 exit Golden Valley Road, Aliento is located off Golden Valley Road in Oak Crest. See you there.
9:23 on this Wednesday, October 11th. I'm Tori. Thank you for joining me on the Hometown Morning Show. In studio with me is Bob Sharits from Way Out Recovery, and we're going to talk a little bit about what happened last Friday, which just, I don't even, when I think of this story, Bob, I don't even know where to begin. A mother, 37 years old, was coming back from UCLA. She just gave birth to twin babies, premature babies. Visited them for the last couple of months. On her way home, got hit by an alleged drunk driver and was killed. Mother of 6. What do you do with that, Bob? I mean, how does the community cope, and what's your part in all of this?
Well, first of all, it's a tragic event, and a lot of emotions around it. Obviously very, very, very sad. We have 2 families whose lives are going to be forever changed. You know, we have the family of the woman who lost her life, and we also have the family of the driver and the driver included. And there's a lot of sadness involved here, and a lot of high emotions. And if you have watched the story or been looking at some of the comments on and off of Facebook and other social media, you can see how high the emotions are. You know, thank you for allowing me to come in the studio today, because what I want to do is I want to, you know, when we have something like this, it's hard to make sense. It's hard to, you know, even talk about what happened. It's hard to, you know, keep those emotions sort of in check. You know, I came here today to offer the way out as a means to the community to communicate this. We want to extend our hand to the community of Santa Clarita and anybody who is feeling the emotion of this, to talk about a few different things. What you're feeling, first of all, and, you know, how alcohol and or drugs can just devastate families like this in an instant.
But you are so right. In one instant, everything has changed. Right. Everything has changed. 21-year-old girl who seemingly on Facebook and background and what we've heard was bright, had a future, had, you know, seemingly on paper everything seemed right. And now news reports say possibly we're looking at, you know, open containers in the car. How does it get to that point, Bob? And how can we change it? We need to change this.
Well, we absolutely, you know, that's what I want to ask the community is, what can we do about this? You know, we can use this as an opportunity to talk to our kids about the dangers of drugs and alcohol. There's always that comes out of tragedy. Always, you know, unfortunately, a lot of times tragedy strikes before we want to have that conversation, like we were saying earlier. But now that it has, right, I want to, I don't want to say challenge, but I want to ask the community to talk to your kids more openly. Let's look at what happened here, and let's talk to them about the dangers of alcohol. Because
you know what, Bob? Let's call it a challenge. We need to, because you know what? We got to pull the hammer down. We have to start really making sense and start taking hold of these situations. So yeah, let's call it a challenge. I'm up for that.
Well, what's interesting about alcohol too is, you know, recently there's been a lot of talk about cannabis because of Prop 64 and all that different stuff. And everybody's like, oh my God, it's going to get out of control.
Sure.
It's just going to be a free for all. But one of the things that we don't oftentimes look at is alcohol has been legal and has been around for forever, right? And so many times I work with families where they're like, oh, it's not a big deal. I had a couple of beers when I was 15 or whatever. And that is not okay.
No.
It's not okay.
No.
Because whether or not, you know, I'm not saying that this lady who was driving, I mean, we don't know what happened, right? But I'm not going to say she's an alcoholic or is or isn't, right? But you don't have to be an alcoholic to have problems with alcohol. You know, and if we teach our kids that if you ingest a substance that will change your mindset and your mood, it's going to not allow you to make healthy choices. You know, and we really need to sit down with our kids. We need to be in the schools. We need to be really talking about this openly. This is a tragedy that didn't have to happen. Didn't have to happen, right?
No.
These are preventable tragedies. You know, whenever somebody overdoses or gets in a car crash where somebody dies and alcohol or drugs is involved, that is absolutely preventable.
Absolutely.
And so as a community, we need to talk to our kids. We need to talk to our adults. We need to talk to each other about the dangers of this. It's not okay that you drink and get in a car. It's not okay. The age is 21.
Are you?
Right?
Do you think, with all your experience that you have, do you think that parents are afraid to talk about this with their kids, thinking that maybe they're opening a door to, I don't want them to know about that alcohol even exists. So if I don't say anything, then it's just, we push it off to the side. Do you think, are we afraid? What's going on exactly? Because we really need to do this as parents.
Well,
But
the answer is yes. Yes, we are
we're
afraid.
But we're not. It doesn't seem like we're either doing it or we're not getting through to them. Can you offer some help on that? You know, at Way Out Recovery, can you offer some help? You know, in guiding parents, maybe to start these conversations and make them happen.
So let me put it out there right now. If you're sitting here going, "Oh my gosh, how do I have this conversation?" Call me. 661-296-4444. Ask for Bob Sharits. I will sit down with you and your kids, and I will help you have this conversation. If you want to get a group of teenagers to come to our site, we will absolutely give them an education on it, and we are not afraid to talk about it. And we can help you get through that fear of having that conversation with anybody, because it is a much bigger deal than I think people give credit, you know?
Bob,
And
we have 10 more seconds. I just want you to give that number out again. It's so important, Bob.
661-296-4444. The Way Out Recovery SCV.com is our website. My name is Bob Sharits. Again, 661-296-4444. Call us. We will help you help your kids to not have these problems.
Excellent. Thanks, Bob. News Now in session.